Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today we are going to work on a baby arrangement. We're starting out with a glass vase filled with some fresh water and a little bit of flower food. Now let me tell you, if you don't have powdered flower food, it's completely okay. You can make your own flower food at home. Here is the simple recipe. Add a touch of Sprite, like a tablespoon of two of Sprite. It's a clear soda, but it needs to have sugar. Don't get diet or zero. You want to make sure that it has sugar. You can add that to the water with a couple of drops of bleach. The bleach is going to kill the bacteria and the Sprite is going to feed the flowers. Now if you don't have Sprite, table sugar will work. It will dilute in the water and it will feed those flowers also. But I find that Sprite probably works the best. But either way is great. I'm going to use my floral knife and we are going to start this design by adding some leather leaf or baker's fern to our container. So I'm taking my floral knife and I'm cutting that stem at an angle and I am just tucking that leather leaf right down into that vase. Now you want to try and keep the foliage out of the water. You don't want the greenery to be down in the water. If it gets down in there, it helps aid in the growth of bacteria. So try to keep the leaves and such out of the water. Now often you will find that when you design and you start to poke all those flowers down through that greenery will get down in the water. That's okay. You can change that water out. It is not a big deal. Just pull those flowers out, gather them in your hand. Grab your vase, dump it in the sink, fill it back up and add a little bit of food back to the water and drop your flowers back in. And you don't have to worry about the growth of bacteria. Now to make your flowers last longer, if you would change that water out about every other day by just grabbing those flowers just like this, giving your flower stems a good cut, changing out that water every other day, that is going to keep your flowers lasting longer. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of this lilies cypress into this arrangement. I love winter greens during the winter time. And so I'm going to I just broke that stem and I tucked that right down into that greenery. Now, if you go to clean off that stem, it's a good idea to go ahead and clean off the little pieces off the bottom of the stem. If you have pieces like this size, save those. You can absolutely use these in smaller designs. Even tuck that into a little bud vase and just have pretty greenery in your home that smells so lovely. All right, so there's our lilies cypress. Next we will come in with a little bit, I guess we'll wait and use our eucalyptus at the end. Next we're going to come in with our lime flower. So I have some beautiful bells of Ireland that we're going to start with. Now you can see how the blooms are all the way down that stem. You're going to want to strip off any blooms that might fall below the water line. Just go ahead and strip those off. I'm going to pinch that leaf out of the tip. If you like the leaves, you can leave them. I just think it looks nicer if you clean those off. I cut that stem at an angle and I'm going to tuck that first stem kind of right in the center. I like for my tallest flower to be in the center of my design. I'm going to see how these blooms are all the way down. Go ahead and strip those off. Pinch that tip. Cut that stem and tuck it right in to that vase. I have one more stem. I like to leave the center stem the tallest and then kind of shorten the other stems around it. All right, there's our pretty bells of Ireland. Next, we're going to come in with some blue delphinium. I have 3 stems of baby blue delphinium. Now delphinium comes in several different colors. There's a lavender, the true blues, we have royal blue and this sweet baby blue and white. So it comes in some really pretty colors. Delphinium is one of the only types of flowers. There's several, but there's few that actually has true blue flowers. And they're so pretty, and I just love them. I just really think that delphinium really gives you a pretty pop to any design, and I like all the colors. I like the softer colors, the different colors, but I really love the royal blue. I think it's such a lovely addition to any design. All right, so there's our line flower, blue delphinium and bells of Ireland. Next, I'm going to come in with a little solidago aster. It's going to help keep my flowers standing up straight. I use solidago year round. It's my favorite filler flower, and it's really, number one, it's yellow, and I just think yellow is always pretty in most any design. Number two, it's very long lasting. So I'm going to take and strip off some of those bottom leaves, and I'm cutting that stem at an angle, and I am just working this solidago throughout the design. What it's going to do, number one, it kind of fills up some empty space, but it also gives us a little pop of color here and there, and a grid to help hold the other flowers in place. So there's our solidago aster. Next, we will come in with some Alstroemeria lilies, also known as Astros or Peruvian lilies. Very long lasting. They come in so many colors, lots and lots of colors, orange and yellow, pink and white, red, lots of pretty colors for Alstroemeria lilies. And they last a long time. They really last a long time. So if you ever want just a little pop of flowers in your home and you want something that'll just last a long time and give you just a little bit of color, Astros are perfect for that. Most of the time you can pick those up. You can pick up a bouquet of Astros at your local grocery store for a little bit of nothing. They're very inexpensive, but really a nice little added happy in your home. All right. Next, we're going to come in with a lily. So this design has lilies. Now, my favorite lily to work with is oriental lilies. Now, I like them because they're just a hardier lily than an Asiatic. They just don't damage nearly as easily. Now, they are big and they are showy, and they do kind of have a fragrance sometimes. So they can overwhelm a little bit, so you have to kind of be careful with that. I'm going to take and remove some of the leaves. And when working with lilies, you want to be sure that you remove the stamens. Now they have been removed. Always pull the stamens from your lilies. They open up and they put pollen out everywhere. And so you want to make sure that you remove that pollen, because not only is it going to damage the flower and get all over the flower, but it's also going to get on your clothes, and if you have a tablecloth on your table, it'll drop on your tablecloth. So it's always best that you go ahead and remove those stamens right when you see them. Here we go. So see how this lily is beginning to pop open here? Very carefully, I'm going to work my fingers down in there, and I'm going to pull the stamens right out of the lily. I'm just going to throw them right away. Now these are closed. They have not opened up. But anytime you start to see them peeking out of a lily, go ahead and pull them out so that they don't stain your clothes or anything, because they will ruin that pretty lily and they will mess up your clothes. Now, I've said this many a times, and I'll keep saying it because it's a wonderful hack, but if you get pollen on your clothes or on a tablecloth or what have you, if you will take your clothes instead of trying to scrub that pollen out, take your blouse or your pants or tablecloth or whatever you got pollen on it, lay it out in the sunshine. The sun will absorb the pollen. It's the neatest thing ever. But that's just a fun little hack that you can do. Next, we're going to come in with beautiful blue hydrangeas. Now, I did not actually have blue hydrangeas on hand. I had some pretty white ones. So we used blue delphinium paint. It's just for flowers paint. It's called blue delphinium. I like its color better than hydrangea blue, and it's just because it's a little deeper in color. We tinted these hydrangeas. I'm going to take my floral knife, cut that stem at an angle, and I'm going to dip it in some Quick Dip. Quick Dip is just a hydrating solution we like to use to hydrate those hydrangeas. If you don't have Quick Dip available, you can absolutely use pickling alum that you can buy from your local grocery store. It is going to work just as well. It usually comes in a powder. It's not a liquid form, but it does work well. So I tucked that first hydrangea down deep. The second hydrangea, I'm going to leave that stem a little longer. Dip it in Quick Dip. I usually count to about 7 or so. And then I'm going to tuck this hydrangea a little higher into the design. There we go. So we have 2 pretty blue hydrangeas tucked in. Next, we're going to use some roses. So I have some pretty creamy white roses. They almost have a little bit of a green tint. Now, they have been wired. Callie went ahead and wired those for me, and I am so thankful for that. Here at Flowers by the Bunch, we like to wire our roses. So you just take a wire and you pierce the little calyx, which is the little swollen part right up underneath the rose. You pierce it and then you wrap that stem that wire right around the stem. Now, what that's going to do is just hold this head up, just in case the flower gets dehydrated. That head wants to dip if that flower gets dehydrated. So us wiring it will just ensure that that head won't dip. I'm going to take my roses, I'm going to cut them at an angle. Now, I like to leave as much foliage on the stem as possible because it didn't cost me any extra. It's just pretty foliage that didn't cost me any extra money. So I like to leave it on if it looks pretty. So I'm taking my roses and I am just kind of working them through this design. I have 3, 1, 2, 3 kind of stair steps down, and I have 2 more stems here. And I've just worked those right in. There we go. There's our pretty white roses. And the last flower besides our greenery, I'm going to add some Hydrating berries. Also known as coffee berries. Come in lots of colors. These are a white Hydrating berry. So I removed some of the greenery down that stem, and I'm going to just kind of work these pretty berries throughout the design. I like that berries give it just a pretty texture. And Hydrating berries are available year-round, so you can actually use them throughout the year. They come in lots of colors, pinks and peach, reds and burgundies, greens and whites. Just some fun colors with a fun texture. All right, to finish this design, I'm going to add a little bit of eucalyptus. So this is just a gunite eucalyptus, and I'm just going to break it into small pieces. I'm going to strip off some of those little bottom leaves and I am going to just tuck it right around the edge of the container. I like to have a little bit of dripping greenery along the edge of that container. It just kind of gives a little bit of a flowy look. And all these smaller pieces that you pull off, you can absolutely use them in shorter designs like bubble bowls or such. And I'm going to just leave this one piece longer, and we're just going to tuck it right up here in the top. There we go, and there is our finished design. I'm going to adjust this one little hydrangea just a little bit. There we go. He was just drooping a little bit. So the flowers we used in this design include Bells of Ireland and baby blue delphinium as our line flower. For my filler flower, we used Solidago aster and the hypericum berries, those pretty white hypericum berries. For lilies, we used two different varieties of lilies. We used oriental lilies, which are those big showy lilies that look like a star, and then we used alstroemeria lilies, which are almost like a little filler flower with tiny little blooms, 4 to 5 blooms per stem. Almost like a sprayed lily, I would say. We used the white roses tucked in there and the blue hydrangeas. Our greenery included gun-eye eucalyptus, leatherleaf, and just a sprig of the Leland cypress. And I think this Leland cypress adds that little hint of winter fragrance, and it's so lovely. Guys, thank you for being here with me this afternoon. If you have any questions about how we do things here at Flowers by the Bunch, you can always ask. We would love to answer your questions. Please, if you enjoyed this video or feel like you learned something, be sure to hit that thumbs up button for me. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button for me. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you all real soon. Thanks, guys.